Welcome to NIKZAD Immigration. For years, Canada has been the land of opportunity, a place where dreams came to life. But in 2025, that dream is facing a new, harsher reality. A dramatic shake-up is underway, and it could force hundreds of thousands of people to leave the country they call home. From students to workers, the rules are changing, and if you don't know them, your future in Canada could be at risk. This is a deep dive into the official facts, not the sensational headlines. So, who's affected, and what can you do to survive? Stay with us for the full story, because understanding these policies could be crucial for your future. Let's start with the most shocking change. Canada has just unveiled its 2025 to 2027 immigration levels plan, and for the first time in recent history, the numbers are dropping, and dropping fast. The permanent resident target is being slashed from a high of 500,000 in 2024 to just 395,000 in 2025. This isn't a small adjustment. It's over a 20% cut in a single year, a stark reversal of the steady growth we've seen for a decade. By 2026, that number is set to fall even further, to 380,000. On the surface, 395,000 might still sound like a large number, but consider the sheer number of people already in the application pipeline. Competition is about to become more fierce than ever before. This reduction isn't random. Officials say they want to stabilize immigration to help tackle growing housing shortages and overstretched healthcare systems. While those reasons might sound reasonable, the reality for applicants is sobering. Fewer invitations, longer wait times, and stricter screening for who gets in. And it's not just brand new applicants who are affected. If you're already in Canada on a work or study permit and hoping to transition to permanent residency, your path may suddenly be narrower and more uncertain. Programs like Express Entry are seeing higher points cutoffs, and provincial nominee programs are getting more selective, often focusing on very specific job skills or labor shortages. The result? Even highly qualified candidates may find themselves stuck in limbo, reapplying year after year. For some, their temporary status could expire before they secure permanent residency, forcing them to leave despite having lived, worked and paid taxes in Canada for years. The dream of Canadian permanent residency is still possible in 2025, but it's more like climbing a mountain in a snowstorm. You'll need strong credentials, perfect timing and zero mistakes to make it to the top. But the changes don't stop there. For the first time ever, the government is placing a hard cap on temporary admissions, with a goal to cut the temporary resident population to just 5% of Canada's total population. What was once an open door is now a much narrower window. You might think that if you're a student, you're safe. Think again. The Post-Graduation Work Permit, or PGWP, was once a golden ticket to a permanent career in Canada. In 2025, that ticket is being rewritten. New language requirements are in place, making it harder for many to qualify. As of November 1st, 2024, all PGWP applicants must meet higher language scores, such as the Canadian Language Benchmark score of 7 for university graduates. But here's the real twist. New caps mean the number of international students approved in 2025 will be significantly lower. The government will only issue a maximum of 437,000 new international student study permits, a 10% reduction from the previous year. This is no longer just about choosing the right school. It's about playing a game with higher stakes than ever. These new requirements, combined with the permit cap, mean that the number of new and returning international students approved in 2025 will be significantly lower. For thousands of students, this could be the difference between a future in Canada and a one-way ticket home. But it's not just students who are feeling the squeeze. The temporary foreign worker program is also tightening. New rules have been introduced that could affect family reunification. Spouses and partners will find it much harder to get a work permit. Now, only spouses of master's students in programs of 16 months or longer, or spouses of in-demand foreign workers in specific management, professional, or shortage occupations will be eligible. This isn't just a policy change, it's a change that affects families, forcing loved ones apart. And if you're a low-wage worker, the situation is even more precarious. The low-wage stream of the TFW program has been capped at 10%. There are also new, stricter rules for employers, including a ban on hiring low-wage foreign workers in areas with high unemployment. For many, this isn't just a hurdle, it's a closed door, as these measures are designed to better align the TFW program with Canada's labour market needs and to protect Canadian jobs. So what about the millions of people already here? Sensational headlines have warned of mass deportations, and while the government says that's an exaggeration, the reality is still sobering. Official data shows that approximately 4.9 million temporary permits, including work and study permits, will expire between September 2024 and December 2025. While the government hopes for natural attrition, that people will leave on their own or successfully transition to another legal status, they've also made it clear that not everyone who wants to stay will be able to. Immigration Minister Miller has stated that those who don't have the right to stay will be expected to leave. The Canada Border Services Agency, or CBSA, is stepping up its enforcement. The CBSA already removed 14,000 inadmissible foreign nationals in the first 10 months of 2024, and new hefty re-entry fees are being put in place to encourage compliance. This doesn't mean millions of people will be forcibly deported en masse. Rather, official plans call for natural attrition, but those who stay unlawfully after their permits expire face removal proceedings. The lower intake caps are just the beginning. The biggest challenge for many will be simply renewing their status. With higher language and financial requirements, even small mistakes could be fatal to your application. Any temporary resident who falls out of status must apply for restoration within 90 days, or they will lose their legal status and become subject to removal. There will be no blanket extensions, no amnesty. The government is committed to cracking down on fraud, which could leave some unable to extend their visas, even if they have been living and studying in Canada for years. This is part of a larger plan to step up integrity checks, with the government reviewing visa decision-making and imposing partial visa requirements on some travellers, aimed at reducing fraud. This process could further slow down or block renewals that appear abusive. In 2025, your legal status isn't just a document, it's a lifeline. On one hand, the government is framing these changes as a move toward a more sustainable immigration system. They say they're not trying to forcibly remove people, but rather to transition many current temporary residents to permanent status. In fact, over 40% of the new permanent resident spots are allocated to people already in the country, for example, through programs like the Canadian Experience Class or provincial programs. The official emphasis is on reducing new entries and strengthening program integrity, not on forcibly uprooting existing residents. But critics and observers are raising alarms. These policies risk straining key sectors that are heavily reliant on temporary workers. Others note that these changes are happening at a time when Canada is facing housing and healthcare pressures. Critics also lament the lack of clear, straightforward pathways from temporary to permanent status for many workers, who will now have to reapply for permanent residency amidst lower targets and increased competition. By the end of 2025, the face of Canada's immigration landscape will look different, with nearly 500,000 fewer temporary residents expected. The message is clear. The era of open-ended temporary residence is over. If you are currently in Canada on a visitor, study or work permit, it is more important than ever to be proactive. You must check your permit expiry dates now and have a clear plan for your next steps. Those who wish to remain in Canada must ensure they apply for extensions or other forms of legal status in a timely manner. Overstaying your visa or failing to maintain your legal status will prompt enforcement actions. For Canadian residents, these shifts are likely to result in slower population growth and a reduced number of international students and temporary workers. The government is committed to tightening immigration numbers and rules, and while the millions sent home narrative is an exaggeration, the effect of these stricter policies will be felt widely. We can expect to see a greater focus on renewals, longer processing times, and a more careful enforcement of immigration laws as Canada works toward a more sustainable immigration level. The information we have provided is drawn from official government announcements and credible reports. The stakes have never been higher, but by understanding these changes, you can take control of your future. We pour hours of research into bringing you the most accurate and up-to-date information. If this video helped you, please do two things. Drop a comment below and tell us how these changes affect you, and hit that follow button. It's just one click, but it helps us keep bringing you the vital information you need. Thank you for watching NIKZAD Immigration.